I'm about to spew. Thank you. Okay, all right. So today is our which workshop is this? Number one, two, three, fourth workshop for the media. And we are doing truth in reporting today. It is May 7th. Welcome to the Yes Week Media Workshop. I am Sonia Brooksby. I am your hostess and your mentor. And if you're watching this on recording, great. I'm super happy you're here. If you're here with us in person, super happy you're here too. So anyway, what things we're going to be working on today is we're going to be talking about a little bit more about the state-sponsored and larger scale propaganda, and then we're going to talk about how that affects us as the media. And then we're also going to start talking about some logical fallacies and how that will also affect us as the media. So I'm hoping we're going to have some fun and do some fun discussions about those kinds of things. But first of all, I want you guys to know that, hey, James made it. Welcome, James. That I was talking to Joy earlier, and we were talking about how great you guys are. I just love bragging about how great my media team is, and that you guys are still with me, and you're coming, and you're participating, and I really appreciate all of your effort. Like, in the end, the most important thing is going to be that you guys are all putting in efforts to be here. To do anything that you do at this point is just icing on the cake. I've already really seen the people that are putting forth the effort, and I really appreciate it. And if you think about it, even though the audition is kind of a weird thing to do to you guys, it really is for your benefit. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a group of people who have done a group project and 3 people are working and 2 people are just hanging on the coattails of the other people that are actually doing the work. It's not fun. It's not fun to be in an organization where you're the only one working and everyone else is just kind of expecting you to do all the work and then they get the credit. It's just not. And I don't want our Yes Week to turn into that. I don't want 3 people to be working and then everyone else to be sitting around. So this whole process, the workshops, the auditions, all of those things is to try to help you guys recognize the importance of everybody contributing. And then also for us as mentors to put together teams that will really be able to support each other, like really, truly be able to support each other. Welcome, Nora. So with that in mind, I am going to give you guys information, but in the end, during Yes Week, I'm not going to be the one who's making the decisions. For the most part, other than a few things here and there, it's really going to be you guys in the media team that's going to decide. And so the people that I'm going to choose are the people that are really going to hopefully be able to be 100% engaged, so that that's easy for everyone to really have a lot of fun. Welcome, Miriam and Angel. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. It's already 7 minutes in. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how time goes so fast, and I just start talking. All right, let's talk about some propaganda. It's Claire and Levi. And the team, the Claire and Levi team, welcome. So, all right, so we're going to talk a little bit about propaganda. Propaganda is falsehoods, right? Let's just make sure that we understand this. This is something that is not true that people are presenting as truth, right? So if we talk about the state-sponsored propaganda, it is an authoritarian regime or countries with state-controlled media. Governments often use media outlets as tools for spreading propaganda to maintain public opinion, suppress dissident, and promote the ruling party's interest. State-sponsored propaganda may include biased news coverage, censorship, and government-funded advertising campaigns aimed at shaping public perceptions. So imagine that you live in a country, not going to name any names, but you live in a country where there is one news station, the government controls it. Anything that comes across that news station is something that the government wants to tell you is the way it is. And they can use, like they said, they can use advertising, they can use their news reporters. So the news reporters can be out there telling you, here's the news, but really what you're hearing is everything that the government wants you to hear. And they're going to make sure that whatever information that you're getting is going to send you in the direction that they want you to go in, right? So we all understand state-sponsored. So there's also political propaganda. Now, this is something that's going to be super important to us because this is the world that we're going to step into. We're all fairy tale characters, but we are living in a political environment, and this is going to be something that we can use, not use, or that we may be, that somebody may approach us and ask if we would do this for them, okay? So political parties or interest groups and advocacy organizations frequently engage in propaganda efforts to advance their agendas and influence public opinion. This can take the form of political advertising, partisan news coverage, misinformation campaigns, and strategic messaging designed to persuade or mobilize voters. So what if I told you on the news report, I'm your anchor person, and I said 40% of the voters are voting for Tinkerbell, and only 10% of the voters are voting for Captain Hook, right? And my numbers are not even right. And yet the only thing that you hear is who's going to win, and I'm going to waste my vote if I don't vote for Tinkerbell, right? So it's really important that when, as a news station, that we get our facts right, and that if something like that comes out and you're saying, okay, well, we as a news station have decided to back this candidate, that is again going to be your choice, but think about the way that that the politics will try to seep into the media, right? All right. Another thing is the advertising. I'm having you guys do these special videos, and you guys can spin these videos any way you want to. You can make the person that you're doing this video on look really great or really bad, or you can just be nonpartisan and let them say and do whatever that they say and do, and have everyone think about it the way that they want to think about it. But again, remember how the propaganda works. Also, strategic messaging. So nowadays we have a lot of social media, and so social media takes a big front stage for a lot of things that get out there, because it's like starting a rumor, and even if it's a rumor that's not true at all, as long as so many people say it, it almost becomes true in everyone's mind. So that's a super powerful thing as well. And we are going to have our own little version of our social media on during Yes Week, which is going to be really fun too. All right, let's go on and talk about some of the other parts. We have corporate propaganda. Corporations and businesses sometimes employ propaganda techniques to promote their products, brands, or corporate interests. They can involve advertising campaigns, sponsored contact, and public relations efforts aimed at shaping consumers' perceptions and deflecting criticism or influencing government policies. So there's that one. Social media propaganda, just talked about that a little bit. With the rise of social media platforms, propaganda has increasingly spread online through viral content, fake news, and misinformation campaigns. State actors, political operatives, and other malicious actors may use social media platforms to disseminate, I love that word, propaganda, manipulate public opinion, and sow division among populations. All right, oh no, it's not the last one. Cultural propaganda. Cultural institutions, including entertainment media, literature, and art, can also serve as vehicles for propaganda by promoting certain values, ideologies, or natural narratives. Propaganda can be embedded in popular culture through films, music, literature, and other forms of artistic expression, subtly shaping public attitudes and perceptions. Let's say I am not a TV station, sorry, a movie studio, okay? And I'm going to promote 10 films. And in the 10 films that I promote, every single story that I promote, there is a broken home. The mom and dad have divorced, someone has passed away, there is problems in the house, and every single one of them has a broken home. No one has an ideal family. So is it accurate that everyone has a broken home? No. Is it being more biased in one direction than another? Yes. If I was trying to be accurate, would I go and do the statistics and find out how many homes are broken, how many homes are not broken, and then do my films based on the reality of what life really is. But the trick is, with media, we have to, as a news reporter, stay on the line of what's true, but movies don't. So if they really, really want to, they can go and promote a certain aspect, a certain parameter of life as being, oh, and then everyone watches all those 10 movies will think, gosh, you know what? And we just have no good homes anymore. All of our homes are broken. There's just nobody lives together with their families anymore. And it can be very misleading. All right. How about biased news coverage? While professional journalism strives to uphold principles of objectivity and impartiality, instances of biased news coverages and propaganda-light reporting can occur. News outlets may exhibit bias in their selection of stories, framing of issues, and presenting of information, leading to perceptions of media manipulation or agenda setting. So if I personally am a tree hugger and I love all the trees and I hate human beings for being on this earth and destroying all of my beautiful trees, I'm a druid, obviously, but I am going to promote all of the news stories that show man in a bad light and that nature is the victim of man, right? So easy peasy, done all the time. How about selective reporting and distorting the facts? This is also a kind of a sneaky thing that people can do and happens all the time. So if we'll talk, actually, you know what, let's cover this a little bit later on because we're going to talk about some logical fallacies and we're going to talk about how we can do that as a news media or how we can recognize it. So a lot of the stuff I'm telling you guys, I want you guys to be able to recognize when it happens so that you can make an informed choice on what you're going to do with that information. Okay. Repetition and slogans. There's propaganda that often relies on repetition to enforce key messages and slogans, making them memorable and ingraining them in the public's consciousness. Catchphrases, slogans, and symbols are repeated frequently to create familiarity and association with the specific ideas or ideologies. So here is some ideas, or there are some specifics to this particular repetition slogans. One of them is called the bandwagon. Propaganda suggests that if everyone is adopting a certain belief or behavior, creating a sense of social pressure to conform. So everyone's wearing the cute little hair clips with their little triangle or the little rectangle hair clips. And so if you're not wearing one of those cute little hair clips, you're not in with the rest of us. We all need to wear those. And it could be a really great marketing ploy that someone started and no one knows about, and yet we're all going out and buying these cute hair clips because everyone's wearing them and we feel like we need to. So there you go. Bandwagon. Testimonials. Propaganda features endorsements from influential figures or testimonials from ordinary people to lend credibility to a message. I personally use this product and look at my face. It went from being this color, now it's this color. And so there you go. Testimonials. Transfer. Propaganda associates a person, product, or idea with a positive or negative symbol, invoking emotions or attitudes associated with those symbols. So you transfer one idea to a thing by using a symbol. How about plain folks? Propaganda presents a message or an idea in a way that appeals to come from everyday people, making it seem reliable and authentic. Have you guys ever thought about that one before? That one was kind of one I hadn't realized before, but it's actually true. Just everyday people telling you how great this particular item is, and or this particular person, or this particular state, or whatever. Glittering generalities. Propaganda uses vague, emotional, appealing language that lacks specific meanings but conveys positive associations such as freedom or justice. This antacid will give you the freedom away from having a bad stomach pains, right? It gives you freedoms, right? Freedom, and it has nothing to do with antacids. And yet here I'm using a catchphrase word to bring something positive to your mind when you think about my antacids from now on. Card stacking. Propaganda selectively presents only positive or favorable information while omitting or downplaying negative information, creating a bias or a one-sided portrayal. I love this when it comes to medications, because medications will have this huge page on a newspaper ad or on a magazine ad, and it will say, this will solve all of your problems. And then for half of the page in this little teeny print, it's telling you all of the side effects, which basically could be death, dismemberment, and all these other things. And yet the thing at the top is it will solve all your problems. Okay. Media manipulation specifically. Propaganda exploits the power of media to control the flow of information, shape narratives, and influence public opinion. This can involve censorship, state-controlled media, manipulation of news coverage, or dissemination of misinformation through traditional and digital media channels. So that's our job, right? All right, targeting specific audiences. Propaganda tailors messages to specific demographic groups or targets audiences based on factors such as age, gender, ethnicity, or political affiliation. Different messages may be crafted to appeal to the values, beliefs, and interests of different segments of the population. All right, so by understanding these techniques and strategies, we will be able to also see them when somebody else is using them on us. So let's say that our news station is the righteous news station, and we would never do anything like that. And yet we see the other news station starting to employ all of these tactics. How do we counter these kinds of tactics and not let them get away with this? Do we come and we confront them, or how are you guys going to handle that as a news station? One last thing, they have psychological operations and this may come into our Yes Week experience. So I'll just share this. Military and intelligence agencies may engage in propaganda campaigns as part of a psychological operation aimed at influencing enemy forces, civilian populations, or international audiences. There was a story that was shared at it was at LDSHE in the fall. And it was a story about a woman who had come out against some violence in her country. And she had these firsthand stories about these horrible things that happened. And everyone just felt so badly and believed her. And it actually created a political movement that had a lot of the world backing the country that she represented. And in doing so, later on, however, they found out that it was completely and totally a lie, that she had not experienced any of those things that she said she did. And she was actually the daughter of one of the politicians and that was in the area. And so it just goes to show you that, you can believe a sad story, you can believe all these things if the media says it, if she has a good enough story and you want to believe it and you think those guys are bad guys anyways, so you jump on her side, but you have to make sure you collect our sources and do all that stuff. But it is a psychological operation because they did actually get the war to back them and people to come in and save them. So with false information. Now, was it possible that all those things really did happen to people but it just didn't happen to her? Yes, it is. But the credibility went completely away when you find out that she was lying. All right. Examples of some people who have used propaganda: Nazi Germany, Soviet Union, and China. Just some examples. And then, of course, North Korea, my personal favorite. Okay. All right. Any questions on propaganda? Oh, I didn't see Nathaniel showed up. Andrew's here. Thank you for coming, Jade, and all of the good peoples. I just want to tell you guys how great I think you guys all are. Like, I am clear across the world, and getting on this was a little bit of work to get here, even for me tonight. So I appreciate you guys all being here. I really do. And you guys get kudo points every single time I see your name show up on my thing. You guys could be playing games. I don't know what you're doing, but I really appreciate that you're here. Is there any questions we have on propaganda before we get into some of the fun stuff? Not that propaganda is not fun. Totally could be a blast, like Cooper was saying. All right, this one we did. Where's my other this? All right, if we are done. All right, first of all, let me get a hands up. I want everyone to raise their hand if they have a team already set up and they've already started to think about their videos that they're going to do and have an idea of what they're going to do. Hands up. I see Claire. If you don't want to put your video on, then just raise your hand in the chat. Anna's got her hands up. Anybody else? Nathaniel, I know you and Miriam have got your team up. That's good. All right, so Nora does, Cooper, Andrew, awesome. my media, I'm sorry. My little thing with the media, or that the meeting was being recorded, was over the top, so I couldn't see some hands up there. So, all right, awesome. Thank you guys. If anyone has any questions on that also, I am available to take any questions. I'm gonna try to go through some, don't have any mental energy to get out of bed. I get that, Cooper. I totally get that. You have a team, but you don't know what you're doing. Okay. Do you have, Jade, do you have someone that you're gonna, that you've already asked to interview? Because sometimes if you, if you have an idea of like something fun to do, then it kind of points yourself one direction or another. Nathaniel does. I don't know how to put my hand up. I think it's in chat. It's in the chat reaction maybe, or no, it's not chats. It's in reactions, right? Reaction? Yeah, it's in reactions. There's a little thing that says raise your hand. And you can give a thumbs up and other reactions. So that's great. You have a teammate and a politician. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. Oh, James, didn't know you were unmuted. Sorry, James, you can always join us and sing songs and hang out with us. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the next part, which is our logical fallacies. Now, why would I want us to learn about logical fallacies? Any ideas?
So that we can see them and either use them or protect ourselves when we do see them.
Good, perfect. Yep. So that we can see them, recognize them. We have an opportunity to use them, but we also have an opportunity to see when they're being used. When do you think is the most likely time for us to see some illogical fallacies in what we're going to be doing in the media for this Yes Week? Any idea? Claire?
If the politicians are using them, then we could be like, oh, this stuff happened, but this politician was using this logical fallacy, so take that as you will.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's think. So we're going to have some politicians that are going to come to us and they're going to want us to do some campaigning for them, or they're going to want us to do a special video advertising for them. So what if in their advertising, they are going to use one of our arguments that is a logical fallacy? Do we as the media stop them? Do we point it out? Or do we just go along with it because we're getting paid? Like that's going to be choices that you guys will make. You love logical fallacies. Miriam, you're gonna teach this class for us today.
Wait, we're getting paid for this?
Okay, so here's the thing. The media.
I was joking. I was joking.
No, and that's a really good point, Nathaniel. It's a really good point. How does the media make money? How do we make money? What's our motivation? We're just all doing this for free, volunteer work. How do we make money?
Ads in real life.
Okay, yes, advertisements, sponsorships. Yeah. So there's going to be people who say, you know what, I like this news station. I'm going to place my ad during that news station so that more people will see my ad, right? So the better the news station, the more likely we'll have more people that will come and ask us to do something for them and pay us money, right? So we want money because we have to keep our news station alive. So now where is some of the things that can happen when we introduce money into our system? Any idea?
Bribery.
Bribery. Awesome, Miriam. That's right. Bribery. I mean, we're dealing with politicians here, right? Do you think all of them are going to be clean and do the right thing and be righteous the whole time? You guys have been to enough Yes Weeks. You know that's not the way it works. So
Really, I
bribery.
I thought politicians were the most honest, pure people on this planet. I feel like maybe the media has
Totally.
been deceiving me.
If only.
Well, there was going to be some bubbles popped in the universe, I'm afraid. My husband actually works with a lot of attorneys, and he has just given up on attorneys being honest anymore. It's just really sad nowadays, and attorneys turn into politicians. So there you have it. I'm afraid the more that you guys understand the things that we're going to be talking about and the slippery slope kind of things that can happen in this part of the world that we're going to be exploring during Yes Week. I think it'll be really, really fun. It'll be great. And I know the assembly people have already gone over all of these, so they are very well schooled in all of these logical fallacies. So I want you guys also to have I want you to have a chance to be able to recognize if they start pulling those kinds of things on you. So, right? Okay. Nice. I like all the skulls in our chat. Okay. All right. So let's start with our first logical fallacy. Who has heard of a red herring? What's a red herring? Okay, Claire and
Anyone
Levi
who's
have.
ever talked to any father that has ever existed ever has heard of that. I know every
Right?
time I start a conversation with my dad, it's like red herring, red herring.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure your red herrings, you saying that I have red herrings at this point are just red herrings.
Exactly. You're just trying, that's just trying to distract me. Do you know that when we do Yes Week, in all the Yes Weeks I've ever done, we have one person or two people, or well, sometimes a lot of us who are just going
Three.
out there and planting information that is just red herrings. So every time there's a Yes Week, I guarantee you there are plenty of red herrings that are just floating around for people to start chasing them down rabbit holes because that's fun. And it keeps you guys busy, and you guys don't know which is real and which is not. And so you have to, but you have to follow them to figure out whether it's an accurate thing or not. And it's really fun. But why have red herrings? What's the purpose of a red herring? Cooper, what payoff does your dad get when he tells you you got red herrings, or what does he think you're getting from your red herrings?
I mean, I always misunderstand red herrings, but I mean, I think essentially a red herring is like it's kind of just when you're throwing something out that's relevant enough to be distracting, but not relevant like to the point where it's something that needs to be talked about, to where you're just drawing the conversation away and you're just
Yeah,
throwing people off from what you
yeah.
really want.
Yeah. So for example, in media, let's say there's a scandal. We find out one of our politicians is taking bribes, and we're ready to break this news. And we go out there super strong. We've got all the evidence. We've done all the reports. We have our inside information. And so we have it. We know what we're doing. We're going to go and tell the story. We do. We put the news flash, this politician taking bribes. Well, 5 minutes afterwards, and everyone's talking about it. 5 minutes after, the other news story, the other news channel does a story about how there is flooding in this country 500 miles away and all these children are dying. Now, the politician taking bribes is pretty bad, but when you start killing babies, they're not going to pay attention to the politician anymore. What are they going to do? Oh no, the poor little babies. We all need to gather together and do our humanitarian work and go save all the babies that are drowning, right? So now what is on our mind? Is it the politician? No. Politician is not even on our mind anymore. We don't even think about it. We, as the Righteous News Station, could be out there sending all sorts of information about what this politician has done, and this is so horrible, and I can't believe this is happening. And yet, as long as the babies are dying in this other place, and this other news station is making that a point, no one is going to pay attention to our politician. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's a tactic you can use for good, or you can use it for bad. But it is a very effective tactic. It can work in a lot of different areas, whether it's news reporting or whether it's social media posts, things like that. It can be conversations with your dad. If your dad's getting into your topic and he's saying, let's go talk about that job that you were supposed to get done, you'll be like, Dad, you know what? I just noticed that there was a dent in your car. Did you notice that? And he's like, gone. He's not talking about your job anymore. He's going to go check out his car, right? Red herring,
Yeah.
completely sending the direction of the conversation and the interest of the people a completely different way. Make sense? So you can see how that would come in handy?
Cooper nailed that on the head, I will say.
Yes, he
He
did
got like
indeed.
the exact definition of what it was.
Yep, yep. Perfect.
Conversations with fathers.
Conversation
job.
with fathers.
Good
My
job,
dad doesn't
Cooper.
listen to me anymore. My dad can have an actual dent in his car and would just be like, no, not talking about this right now.
Well,
I
I
have to
think
use
sometimes,
straw man's instead.
oh no. So I think sometimes what happens is if, let's say that there's a news station that is constantly doing that, it's constantly sending out these red herrings, and the stories aren't really credible, and we find out in the end that they're not. And we're like, and people start catching on. Can people catch on? And then can it backfire? So yes, the answer is yes, it can. Okay, so let's start talking about some of these logical fallacies. I don't even know how to say this one. So ad hominem is
Ad
a logical
hominem.
fallacy.
Homonym. I love this one. I love this
Oh,
one so
do you
I
much.
do
want to explain
too.
This one happens to me all the time as an
Okay,
homeschooler
can I-
and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
it? Okay, all right.
Can I
I want to
explain?
hear. I want to hear some of you guys's.
Okay, so an ad hominem is basically attacking a person instead of their argument. So it's like uh it's like say I would say, "Oh, you're doing these but you're lying about this thing or something." And they're like, "Well, you're dumb, therefore your argument is false."
Right. You have blue eyes, so that obviously means that you can't see clearly.
Yeah,
There's
basically.
You're a girl, Miriam, so obviously you do not know how hard it is for men when they go to work at the jobs every single day.
And it's just attacking
Yeah,
a
Miriam, it's
person.
really tough. It's really tough.
Yes, it
Be
is
glad.
attacking an individual person for a personality trait or something that they have or represent that has nothing to do with the actual argument. So there's
I
no
have a great example in my life. I've
go.
seen a lot.
Okay.
I am not able to get my license yet because I'm not 16. I have about 130 hours of driving, which is like more than double, but double needed. But anyway, I see a lot. I will point a law out or something useful, a driving tip out to somebody that I see. Okay, I don't think you follow the law there, or
Mhm.
like your headlights out, or you shouldn't have been in the middle of the two lanes there, or whatever. Very obvious laws, and they'll be like, well, you can't drive because you don't have your license,
Yeah,
and
obviously,
that's something that I can't even control. So that's even worse.
right.
So I've seen that a lot.
Obviously, because you don't have a driver's license, you have no idea the way the laws work.
Yeah, even though I paid attention better than they did in driver's ed, clearly.
And
But that
you did driver's ed probably,
more
more recently
recently,
than they
exactly.
did. So you, of course, are very mindful of what those laws are. We love new drivers in our house because they always call us to repentance. It's great.
Another thing I see, and I won't give an example, but I'm sure you've all seen these. You're homeschooled, so I've
Yes.
seen those a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Obviously,
used
you
to,
don't know how to order at McDonald's because you're homeschooled.
Yeah,
my friends used to
obviously.
do that all the time. And then I very quickly stopped that.
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
That
Okay.
happened to
All
me
right.
at FSY.
Do you have
You're a
one?
homeschool. Oh, I was just saying no. It's because you're a homeschool, so and so. It happened to me at FSY.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because sometimes we can think that we're in a group that will be very inclusivary of us because we are in that group, but there's like groups that overlap. So I'm in this group and I'm in this group, but we kind of overlap in the middle. So you kind of feel like there should be a safety zone in that overlapping, and there's just not sometimes. It's anytime something is different than what their expectations of it needs to be. There's a lot of misunderstandings that happen in the middle of those spaces. So yeah. Okay, here's another one. What is a straw man? Has anyone heard of a straw man?
I also know this one.
You know this one too? Wizard of Oz, tell us, Miriam, what's a straw
Okay,
man?
so a straw man is like you like take something someone said, um, like take someone said what they said and take a little part of it and then like expand on that and way assume. Like it's like the example I saw was it's like, oh, I think this certain medical drug should be legalized because it really helped my aunt that was sick. Okay, and the person's like, what? You support drugs? You think all drugs should be legalized? That you know how many people die from drivers under the influence? It's like taking as something that's like just relevant enough for it to seem real, but like not
Yeah.
related and like way attacking it and then slapping it down, and that's basically you're attacking the straw man. I don't know. I'm not very good at examples.
Yeah, okay, let me read the definition on here, and so, and then maybe that'll make it clear. A strongman is an argument that argues against a hyperbolic, inaccurate version of the opposition rather than their actual argument. So instead of taking the argument and arguing the argument, they argue something that was an inaccurate part of what they said. So
Yeah,
here's
or
the
a
example they said.
subset.
Aaron thinks we need to stop using all plastic right now to save the planet from climate change. So does creating plastic change the environment? I mean, a lot of people they'll jump on that. They'll think, oh yeah, that's true. It's true. But
Not creating it,
there's
but
no
the act of
logical
the way that
basis.
it's disposed of.
Right. They've taken a little bit of let's talk about the environment and plastic and taken one little part of it and said, okay, now this is the whole argument when it's not. Right? So a straw man is, if you think about straw, it is hollow. There's nothing inside. So it's very easy to break but it looks solid on the outside. So you're taking something that looks solid on the outside and it really has no substance in the inside to actually validate what the argument is that they're trying to say. Okay, equivocation. I'll read this one. This is very much used today, but it's a little hard to understand sometimes because really what it is it's a statement that's crafted to mislead or to confuse the readers or listeners by using multiple meanings or interpretations of a word or simply through unclear phrasing. So the example they used is, I have a clear path for the campaign budget that accounts for every dollar spent. My opponent simply wants to throw money at special interest projects. So instead of like focusing on what their purpose was and what they're wanting to do, and they use words like, I have a clear path, or I am doing everything that I can, and then this other person's doing nothing, and they don't have any proof, and it's just this broad open statement. So it's not something that anyone can argue against because you can't say, well, I think he's doing something. I'm not sure what he's doing. So that's one of them. How about slippery slope? Anyone know what the slippery slope is?
Me.
Miriam knows. Go ahead, Miriam.
It's like, I mean, here, plastics is a good example.
Yep.
Like, oh, if
That's
we
a
keep
good one.
making plastic, then we're gonna, all the plastics are gonna pile up, and there's gonna be no room, and we're gonna all die because the world is ending because we're ruining the world. Basically, like taking one thing that might happen, and like going on and on about these awful things that theoretically might happen, kind of.
Right. But then there's no proof that one thing's going to
Yeah.
lead to the other, that's going to lead to the other, that's going to lead to the other.
It's like saying if you don't brush your teeth tonight, you'll never get a habit and your teeth will get black and fall out.
Yeah, you'll never get married. If you don't brush your teeth tonight and you don't wash your face, then you'll never get married because your teeth will rot out and your face will have acne, and then your whole body will get greasy, and then you'll ruin all your clothes. Nobody will want to be friends with you, and then you'll never get married. It's just obvious, right? So it's one thing after another that could be connected and actually very well, I mean, could all happen, but it's not something that's likely to do. And they keep talking about it like it's facts. That's why I think it's so interesting, logical fallacies, because people will say things like they're factual and they're not. And that's what's interesting about logical fallacies. All right, let's do another one. Hasty generalization. How about this one? No one's ever made a hasty generalization about you guys, I'm sure. A statement made after considering just one or a few examples rather than relying on more extensive research to back up the claim. It is important to keep in mind that while what constitutes sufficient research depends on the issues at hand and the statements being made about it. So how about I use a statement and say, you know, every time I eat this food, it makes me feel sick. And so every time they eat the food, is there enough evidence? Ask me how many times I ate the food. If I say 2, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. But it sounds really good if I say every time I ate that food, it makes me sick. So then you're thinking, well, maybe that food is bad. Maybe it's just not very, very good. But that's a logical fallacy because you're not there's not enough information that tells you I've only had that food twice. And at the same time, I ate that food, I ate something else, or I did something else that may have made me sick and it was never the food. Make sense? How about
Maybe
hasty
some allergic
generalizations about homeschoolers? Is there any of those out there?
Homeschoolers can't socialize.
So
We have
many.
no friends.
They have no friends. They can't
That
socialize.
my
can't make
friends
a
used to say
circle.
that about me all the time. And
We're-
then one of them literally invited me to their birthday, and I told them I didn't want to go because they were being rude, and their parents made them come to my house and apologize, and they've never done that again.
I have a funny
Nice.
story about that actually. So I was at youth conference and had a roommate. And then there was like we had a class and there was some other girls in our like group and they were homeschooled. And so like my roommate, she was like, "Oh, they're so weird because they're homeschooled." And I was like, "Actually, I'm homeschooled." And we got along really well. And so I was like, "That's interesting."
And that happens
It
all
was
the
always
time.
it was always funny when my good friends were like, "Dude, homeschoolers are so antisocial." I was like, says literally the people I'm talking to at the very current moment.
You should have said, you're just like, "Yeah, those homeschoolers."
Those dang
Dude,
homeschoolers.
honestly.
They're just like that. They just be like
Those
that.
I
dang
hear a lot like
homeschoolers.
you don't know anything, or you don't, you're not educated, XYZ, all this garbage because you're
Yeah.
homeschooled.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't know anything as homeschoolers.
Too bad.
Just not smart enough.
Okay, all right, here's an interesting thing. How about appeal to authority? In an appeal to authority, the arguer claims an authority figure's expertise to support a claim, despite this expertise being irrelevant or overstated. Well, my Aunt Josie said that she says that this particular product does this particular thing. And this is bad, or this is the way you're supposed to drive is this person said it, and the person that you're talking to isn't any driving expert. They're not a race car driver or anything. They just happen to be older than you are. Does that make sense? So you're appealing to somebody who has authority, but doesn't necessarily have authority over the thing that you're saying. Listen, this makes it credible. What I'm saying is because this person said it. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? My mom said that I'm stronger than you are. She said that. So that obviously makes it true.
Okay, but my mom said that I'm smarter than you are.
Well, then it's obviously
Yeah.
true because we all know your mom. She's never wrong. Okay.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
All right. How about a
Crazy.
false dilemma? False dilemma is also known as false dichotomy. I know Miriam knows all about this one too. It says claims that there are two opinions in a given situation. Often these two opinions are extreme opposites of each other, failing to acknowledge that other, more reasonable options exist. If you don't come to Yes Week, you're going to be either really, really dumb because you don't come, or no one's going to like you and you'll never get invited to another birthday party again. Or if you come to Yes Week, everybody will like you and you'll get invited to all the birthday parties, but so-and-so will hate you because you're so popular. Could be opposite, could be the same. Could be good things, could be bad things. False dilemmas. Does anyone else know anybody that does that? I know someone I'm very close to that uses these all the time.
I know a few people.
You know, a
My
few
mom
people.
has told me that when she was younger, everything was a false dilemma for her.
That's true. It is true. And you know what? There are certain people, I don't know what it is about them that find false dilemmas the really easiest way to get their point across. I'm going to give you, this is the end of the world, that your life is going to be over, or you do what I want you to do, right? Here's your two options. Mow the lawn, or you'll never leave your home again. Like, is there any other options beside that? Can I hedge the lawn? Can I do something else? Can I do the dishes? And do I have to stay home forever and ever if I don't mow the lawn? Okay. Oh, the example was funny. If you don't support my decisions, you were never really my friend.
I really hate this one.
I
There's a lot
know.
of things that are
That
like
one's so dumb.
I think it's the same like thing. It's like if you don't support me in this opinion, then you must hate me.
I have a funny story to share about this.
That's
and
a
my-
very popular one.
It is a very popular. It's
Is
a
if you
very
don't
popular one.
support this political team that I support,
Right.
you must hate me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, if you don't support this particular agenda, then you're against all females or all males or all human beings, and you hate small babies and children and puppies. That's just the way it is, right? And it happens like that. I mean, so my story is, so my oldest daughter is a logical based child. She does not do emotion based information very well. And she had her best friend who was very emotional based. So the little friend said to my daughter one day at the park, I wasn't there. My girlfriend was watching the kids. She said, if you don't play this game with me the way I want you to, then I won't be your friend. And my daughter said, okay. So she dumped on her and started beating her up. Because she didn't understand the whole emotional manipulation. She's like, oh, if you're not going to be my friend, then this is how we're going to end our friendship. I'm just going to beat you up. So, I mean, small children use this to emotionally manipulate each other into doing things. And it's something that you see all the time. So definitely watch out for that one. All right, so let's do another one. Bandwagon fallacy. With the bandwagon fallacy, the arguer claims that a certain action is the right thing to do because it's popular.
Oh my gosh, this is everywhere.
I
Ah,
know, right?
so dumb.
Yes, it is everywhere. And you know what's funny is, has anyone ever showed you a meme and everyone's laughing at it and they think it's super funny and you're like, I don't get it. I don't see why that's so funny. But everyone's laughing. So do you laugh or do you not laugh?
I typically laugh. I'm not gonna lie. I would
I
laugh.
know, right? We get caught in
And then
that
people, and then
because-
they're like, "Do you even understand this?" And I'm like, "Under no circumstances."
exactly, not
You
at
start
all. I
laughing
don't
because
get it.
everyone else is. It's just laughing is funny, so you just win.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't want to point out that you're ignorant and that you don't understand what it is that they're doing, or that maybe you did get it, but you just don't enjoy that particular type of humor, or, there's a lot of different reasons why you shouldn't have to agree with everyone else just because everyone else is doing it. Okay, so how about an appeal to ignorance? An appeal to ignorance is a claim that something must be true because it hasn't been proven false.
Oh, I hate that. I hate
There's a
that so much.
philosopher that thinks that way. Like
Nietzsche?
every theory. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's like everything is true until it's proven false. It's like innocent until proven guilty.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
We have a book of logical fallacies, and it brought up Nietzsche while talking about this fallacy. And
Yeah.
it was like, that doesn't count because Nietzsche has a twerpy mustache anyway. And now
Very
it is
true.
our family joke that
And
it's
that's
a
your family
twerpy
joke. Use
mustache.
one logical fallacy against another. I love it.
Eliza, are you talking about the animal logical fallacy book? Do you have the one with the animals? Okay, that's what I thought. We had that same one for Quest 3. It was really
Well,
funny. We had
my mom
flashcards.
taught us to, so.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So maybe you guys should be teaching me this class. That's what we should be doing.
No,
right,
I
so-
don't really remember them. They're all very difficult.
There, you know what?
keep-
It's harder when you try to think, oh, I've got to think of the actual name for this fallacy. But you recognize them when you hear them sometimes, or maybe you don't. Maybe they're just so common that is one of those repetition propaganda things, right? As long as I hear it more and more and more, I'll start thinking, oh, that's got to be true because I'm hearing it more. So I'm jumping on the bandwagon, and the bandwagon could be using a logical fallacy over here, which is, one of the ones that we've already talked about. So it's just this vicious circle that just can keep going and going and going, because unless you stop it and say, you know what, that meme's not really that funny. I don't really enjoy that, but thank you for showing, you can show me other ones if you want to later. And don't jump on the bandwagon, or, hey, you know what, that doesn't make sense because this is not related to this at all. So anyway, okay, circular argument. A circular argument is one that uses the same statement as both the premise and the conclusion. Blue is the best color because blue is the best color. How can you
I
argue with
mean, blue is in fact the best color.
I disagree.
that?
I know. I don't
You
actually
are
think that.
wrong.
I don't think.
differ.
I think the best color is magenta because magenta is a color that we completely make up in our brains.
Okay, but you are wrong because you have brown hair.
I think you're wrong because you're homeschooled. So get wrecked.
No, but blue has to be the
You're
best
both
color
wrong 'cause
because
you're
it is
boys.
the prettiest.
That's crazy. We just got
Actually, both
destroyed.
of you are just wrong because you're just wrong.
That's
There you go.
okay. No, we got even more destroyed.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll just never open my mouth again.
Alright.
False. So
We're
okay.
gonna start with another one. Okay, how about sunk cost fallacy? With the sunk cost, I
Oh.
know some of you guys have done
Oh,
this. Sunk
I've
cost
heard of
fallacy.
these.
The arguer
I've
justifies their
actually,
decision to continue to a specific course of action because the amount of time or money they've already spent on it.
this one's actually really interesting because
This
this is the
one
kind of
makes
thing that
sense in
department
s-
stores, this
This
is
one
the
makes
kind of thing that
sense in
like
some
stores like
things.
Costco
wait.
use.
Yes, you're right, Nathaniel. It makes sense in a lot of ways. Hold on, let's listen to Cooper and then you tell us an example if you have one.
The other thing that a lot of things like Costco and other membership places use where it's like you've already spent money on something, so you feel like you need to do that thing in order to recoup those losses when it's like it's already done. Like you've lost that. It's not going away. So it's just like I think that's a really interesting fallacy. Like that a lot of people are really affected by it. Like it's one of the lesser known ones
It is,
that
it
is
is.
just like I've so yeah, and you're right. In a lot of ways, it can make sense. Like in
Yeah.
our brains, just logically, like it feels like it's just logically correct.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, get that gym membership so that you can go in there and then you use it once and then you got to go to the gym because you spent money on it, but you didn't really go to the gym that often, but you don't want to quit because then you would give up and that was the whole purpose and then you get stuck.
Right, but it's still also, I think this one is not as bad as the others because it can be, hey, look, at the end of the day, if you go to the gym more because you have the membership, that's still going to the gym more. If I buy something that's expensive and I'm like, well, I have it and I spent money on it, might as well use it. It's like, I think it is motivation to be a little more grateful for what we have, and it could be used to be more efficient and like if we have something that's expensive, recognize, okay, well, this is expensive, so might as well use this one, right?
Right.
Because at the
And
end of the
all
day,
of those things, those are the logical parts of it. The fallacy is that because you started something, you have to finish it because of
right,
that.
right.
So like
I
I
agree.
started reading a book and it was horrible. I can't believe it, but I bought the book, so I need to finish it. Do I really need to finish it? Do I need to subject myself to any more of that? I don't.
The
But
sense of like you need to finish something because you started it.
yeah,
Like you
so
need to finish something for the sake of finishing it versus like
right.
anything that you're actually is actually going to give to you. Which
Right.
is
So
why when you look
that's
at something like a gym membership, it can be a little bit more difficult to say it's a fallacy because it's like, oh well, you're actually getting something out of it when you use it. Versus like you're like a book like you don't like. It's like, well, okay, you're not going to really get much value out of it if you don't like it, but you've already spent money. So either return it or if you can't, just deal with it.
that's right. Hey, I have a visitor. You want to
Is
see
it
my
Calvin?
visitor?
It's not Calvin.
This is the cutest little man ever.
Oh my gosh, it is Calvin. I don't know.
Hey, say hi. You say hi to my friend. Say hi. Hi, everyone. He's looking at all your faces like, wow, look at all those handsome people. They're so cute.
I don't know about handsome, but everybody else is.
Okay, all right, let's keep going. All right. How about appeal to pity? An appeal to pity attempts to sway a reader's or listener's opinion by provoking them emotionally. So I know I should have been on time for the interview, but I woke up late and I felt really bad about it. And then the stress of being late made it hard to concentrate when I was driving to the interview. So if I can make you feel sorry for me, then the reason why I'm going to give you, it makes it so you can't really argue with me. You don't really want to point out that really it has nothing to do with you waking up late. That was your responsibility. And yet I'm going to make you feel bad. Right? Calvin, we're going to make him feel bad. Yeah, we're going to make him feel bad. Okay, gonna go play. All right, so we only have a few more and we're already almost out of time. All right, so let's go to our the causal fallacies. These are really fun ones. These are the ones that if you buy ice cream at the beach and there's a shark attack, it means that buying ice cream creates shark attacks, right? So it's a causality. So one
those are
implies a
so
relationship
dumb.
between two things that aren't actually proven to have any kind of relation at all.
Those are
If
used a
you
lot and they're really dumb.
use these a lot,
No, these are just used a lot in general.
they are used a lot in general. Why? So why do people believe these? Why do people jump on this?
Because I mean, this happens and this happens at the same time. It must be true. It just must be.
Has any of you guys, I know we talked about this once before. We
Yeah.
talked about the fact that we have a tendency to want to believe our narrative. Like if I am terrified of sharks and I want there to be shark attacks and I want there to be something that causes them so that I can say, oh yeah, that's right. That's causing all these shark attacks. Or I hate ice cream or whatever. Like I'm buying into it because it's something that I want to believe. And so I'm going to try to use that to convince everybody else that, yeah, that makes sense to me. Or even in my own head, I'm going to convince myself that it makes sense because it's working with the narrative that's already in my head. So you know how we talk about how media has to be unbiased? Well, we are all not unbiased. There's no way that you can come to the table 100% unbiased. If I'm sitting at a table and I'm sitting across from somebody and they hate puppies and I love puppies, it's going to be really hard for me to not feel negative about that person because of my bias about how they feel about something. Or it could even be a rumor that I've heard about them. So it's really hard to stay unbiased about things, but
I've
that's
actually gotten really good at that.
that's really good.
Like, I
Learning
have
how to be a critical thinker is amazing.
An example is I have these two people that are both it's just their word against theirs, right? One word against another. And
Right.
I would like to believe the friend and not the person that has already, like, one person has already done bad stuff to me, right? Been rude to me, whatever.
Right.
And so I want to believe my friend, right? But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but I have to think of both sides and say, okay, but what if the other person is right?
Exactly. And sometimes if we're biased against one thing or another, it's really hard not to
Yeah, but I think
lean one direction or another.
I've gotten weirdly good at like stepping out of the emotional part of an argument and looking at it logically. Something I've gotten good at. So that's just cool.
Good deal. So, I want you guys to have fun with this. And I want you guys to like start thinking of them, even if you want to like make post-it notes and write them on your wall and start like thinking about different things that we can do as a media group, to recognize when these things are and what are you guys going to do with them? What are you going to do with them? If you start seeing these kinds of things, which you will, because we're dealing with politicians, you're going to have to start deciding what kind of a news team you guys are going to be, right? All right, so that is all the time that we have today. But that was really fun. I loved all of your guys' comments and all of your discussions and your examples. They were super awesome. And I think you guys have got the idea way better than I did when I was your age about all of these really fun logical fallacies. Good luck on your videos. Does anyone have any questions as far as how the videos need to be done or who needs to do them? Or I'm just going to tell you guys one thing. And I want you guys to think about this. Oh, Calvin's sad. He's sad because he wants you guys to know that no matter what kind of product you guys end up with, I am recognizing all the efforts that you guys are putting into this, and that's going to be the most important thing. All right, make sense? Joy, do you have any comments before we head out?
She's on a
Questions?
walk. She just left the computer on, but she's gone.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. Well, I guess you'll have to comment to somebody when they're not here. All right. Thanks for coming. Anyone? Does any last minute questions?
Oh, I see some hands with questions.
Oh, I see a Nora and I see an
And
Anna.
Anna.
They're at the top. All right, Nora, why don't you go first?
When are the videos due?
They're actually due on the 13th. For the assembly people who are running and campaigning, because the assembly team needs to get a hold of those and have them ready to show on the 14th, I think, or on the 13th. So I'm kind of encouraging everyone to get them done on the 13th. I would really appreciate having them done and getting them into me by the 10 o'clock on the 14th, because then I'm going to do some fun stuff with those so we can have it for that night's workshops. So 10 o'clock on the 14th is the deadline to get those to me. And the way you get them to me is you put them on on your Google Drive on your email, and then you share that file to me, and then I will download it and look at it because I need to have access to it to do fun stuff with it. Does everyone has my email address, right? And Nora, when did you cut your hair?
Today.
Today? Oh my gosh, it looks really cute. Even in the dark, it looks really cute. All right, Anna, tell us what your question is.
Okay, so on the spreadsheet, it kind of like with all the color coordination, it has the colors for the teams, but it also has some colors that aren't the same as the team colors on some of the politicians and people that are not on the media team. So I'm just curious as to like which ones, if they're showing like, oh, this person's available or this person's taken or like has been requested.
Nobody is taken. Like, even if they've been asked 4 times to do 4 different videos, if you want to do a video with them, you can ask them again and they can still do another video with you. So I want to make it easy. I don't want you guys to think that there's going to be a door that's going to stop and you can't do anything. You can. The color coordination is also to show you who's running for which office. So it will say committee chairperson and they're in orange. And so anyone who's got an orange in the assembly people are committee chair people. That's the position they're running for. So that if they have a color on themselves, on their names, that means that they are running for office. And those are the ones that you can ask because they really do need to have a video done for them. So they're going to be motivated to work with you in getting those videos done that they need to have done as well. Next to their names, you guys should be putting in your color when your team has invited and is planning on doing something with that politician. That's why I kind of have a few times I've put other colors next to it and kind of extended out the colors because there's been several teams that have asked the same person. So I kind of included those team colors next to each other and just kind of kept those moving on. So that may be a little confusing too.
Alrighty.
Did that answer the question, Anna?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Anybody else have anything? Okay, I think we are done for the evening. Thank you guys so much for coming. Yes, all the hearts and loves. And I am glad to see that all of my cast members have recuperated and they're like alive people. Appreciate it. You guys all worked really hard this last week. You guys deserve a break. So please take one and then get to work on those videos. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.